You could believe that honey is simply something you put in tea or pour over toast. But for guys above 60, employing honey in the proper manner can achieve something truly remarkable. It can assist in widening your blood vessels, increasing your energy, and even reviving your performance and closeness in a natural fashion. Now, before you head straight to the kitchen, pay close attention because nearly every guy I've talked with during the past 25 years has been employing honey incorrectly. And by incorrectly, I don't merely mean overlooking the advantages. I mean genuinely obstructing the exact mechanism that allows honey to exert its ability to enhance circulation. So stick with me, because over the coming few minutes, I'm going to reveal the precise method to employ it, the research explaining why it succeeds, and the largest error that prevents it from fulfilling its role. And I guarantee you'll never view honey in the same light afterward. Here's the astonishing aspect. When honey gets used purposefully, not merely as a sugar substitute, but as a promoter of circulation, it can begin enhancing blood flow in under 30 minutes. That signifies warmer hands and feet, superior energy, and indeed, firmer, more enduring performance at the moments that count the most. But the schedule and pairing are crucial, because should you consume honey at an improper time during the day, or blend it with unsuitable foods, your body essentially converts that inherent strength into stored sugar rather than energy for circulation. I'll demonstrate precisely what to combine it with and the ideal time to use it. But first, let's be straightforward for a moment. If you've observed that your energy isn't like it once was, if you tire more quickly, or if closeness seems like effort rather than a bond, you're far from alone. Every guy beyond 60 encounters some reduction in circulation. The distinction between those who recover strongly and those who diminish silently lies in whether they understand how to revive that internal flow in a natural, secure, and reliable way. And here's the positive update. You don't require medications or costly supplements to achieve that. You simply need to grasp how to stimulate your body's natural nitric oxide channels. And honey, when applied properly, stands as one of the easiest methods to accomplish it. I've witnessed this directly in my practice across more than 2 decades. Guys who had lost all optimism began observing minor shifts in mere days and more substantial changes in weeks. One of my clients, Mark, aged 67, visited me following months of exhaustion and diminished self-assurance. He shared with me, "Doctor, I sense like I'm diminishing." His spouse had observed it as well. We initiated with a handful of basic adjustments, including the honey circulation practice I'm on the verge of outlining. In just 2 weeks, he detected that his mornings seemed smoother. He no longer had to pull himself from bed. Following 3 weeks, his blood pressure evened out. By the 4th week, he uttered words that brought a grin to my face. I never imagined I'd sense 40 once more, but here I stand. Now, I'm not claiming that honey by itself reshaped his existence, but paired with the correct schedule and a minor everyday practice, it kick-started his bodily circulation in a fashion he hadn't experienced in years. So, let's discuss what's truly occurring within your system. As you reach your 50s and 60s, your blood vessels begin naturally forfeiting their pliability. That results in reduced blood delivery to your brain, your heart, and certainly your private regions. Once that occurs, energy, self-assurance, and endurance all commence declining in tandem. But honey holds innate elements that aid in offsetting that. It's abundant in flavonoids and antioxidants that initiate nitric oxide, the identical substance your body relies on to ease and expand your blood vessels. Consider nitric oxide as nature's circulation toggle. When activated, blood circulates smoothly. When deactivated, all processes decelerate. Circulation, vitality, even longing. The key lies in engaging that toggle. And this is where the majority of guys err. They consume honey at an unsuitable time of day, frequently blended with bread, cereal, or manufactured foods. That pairing elevates insulin, halts nitric oxide creation, and transforms the honey into stored sugar rather than vitality. The correct approach. Consume a teaspoon of unrefined, unheated honey on a vacant stomach, preferably 20 minutes prior to breakfast, and pair it with a single pinch of cinnamon or ginger. Those two seasonings amplify honey's circulation benefits since they inherently warm the system and bolster blood movement. That's all there is to it. 1 teaspoon, 1 pinch each morning ahead of breakfast. And indeed, the schedule holds greater importance than most folks acknowledge because during early morning hours, your system's insulin responsiveness and nitric oxide concentrations sit at their minimal points. So providing that innate lift prior to eating supplies your arteries with the necessities to rouse before the remainder of your body begins seeking energy. Now, you may be curious, does such a minor adjustment truly create an impact? Without question. In reality, research featured in the Journal of Medicinal Food indicated that males who ingested a modest daily portion of honey experienced as much as a 20% enhancement in vascular performance inside 4 weeks. An additional investigation from 2018 revealed that the polyphenols within honey assisted in lessening oxidative stress, a primary contributor to blood vessel rigidity among aging males. But here's the element the research omits. It extends beyond mere blood movement. As your circulation advances, your vitality advances. Your metabolic processes recalibrate, your self-assurance reemerges, and that generates a cascading influence, improved disposition, enhanced concentration, superior bonds. I've observed it unfold countless times. Like yet another client, James, 71 years old, who arrived feeling vanquished, mentioned that his hands and feet remained perpetually chilly and his vitality simply vanished. We conducted his circulation evaluations, and his nitric oxide concentrations proved almost half of the ideal level. I placed him on the identical honey regimen, modified his evening repasts, and requested brief 10-minute strolls following breakfast. In 10 days, his vitality elevated. In 3 weeks, his hands regained warmth. And following 6 weeks, his spouse contacted my office to inform me he's reverted to his true self. That's the essence of circulation. It restores life, quite literally. And here's the element I adore reiterating to my clients. You cannot imitate effective circulation. No additive, no medication, no rapid solution can substitute what your system accomplishes innately when operating at peak. That's precisely why employing nourishment purposefully, such as honey, proves so potent. You're not compelling your system, you're bolstering it. But one vital aspect eludes most individuals. Honey functions this way solely when it's unrefined and unaltered. The transparent, industrially produced honey available in typical grocery stores frequently undergoes heating, filtering, and depletion of the precise enzymes that spark nitric oxide. What you seek is unrefined, darker honey, a variety retaining that subtle, gritty consistency. That's the type preserving its innate therapeutic elements undamaged. Now, I recognize some of you ponder, Dr. May, I've employed honey for years. I sense no variation, and I comprehend. But here's the explanation for that occurrence. Since the schedule, pairing, and origin of the honey carry more weight than most folks grasp, view it thusly. Your blood vessels resemble small, pliable conduits. Across time, they stiffen and constrict. The antioxidants in honey can aid in loosening them, yet exclusively when your insulin concentrations remain low. If not, your system merely stockpiles the sugar and forfeits the gain. Thus, if you're ingesting it immediately post-pancakes, the advantage evaporates. But upon a vacant stomach, that's when your arteries stand prepared to react. This explains why, within my practice, I instruct males to integrate this honey regimen with gentle morning activity. Even a 10-minute stroll post-breakfast aids in distributing that nitric oxide across your framework. That's the method to intensify the outcome. And upon merging this practice with profound hydration, a glass of tepid water immediately following your honey, You're supplying your system with all essentials to propel oxygen-laden blood throughout. Now, I'll share an observation from across the years that continues to astonish me when males commence elevating their circulation. Their self-assurance trails almost instantly, not due to novel actions, but because they perceive their robustness resurfacing. Mark, the client I referenced previously, informed me one morning, "You realize what's peculiar, doctor? It's beyond merely sensing improved physically. I genuinely sense like my former self once more." That remark lingered with me since what the majority of males desire isn't adolescence, it's liveliness, the sensation of capability, robustness, and reconnection anew. And that's precisely what solid circulation provides. Now, prior to proceeding, permit me to dispel one additional misconception. Honey fails to elevate testosterone immediately. What it accomplishes is enhancing the transport of nutrients and oxygen your system requires to generate and employ hormones effectively. Thus, as your circulation progresses, your innate hormone equilibrium ensues. That's why I advise males, should you aspire to sense more youthful, avoid pursuing testosterone initially. Pursue circulation, since testosterone cannot execute its function if unable to traverse unhindered through your bloodstream. And here's an element you can verify personally. Following merely 1 week adhering to the honey-cinnamon regimen ahead of breakfast, observe whether your hands sense warmer during mornings or if you arise with greater vitality. That's your initial indicator of success. In the ensuing few minutes, I'm going to disclose another straightforward addition that heightens this outcome further, an item likely present in your kitchen already and functioning in harmony with honey to safeguard your arteries and bolster endurance. But prior to that, allow me to recall this. Reliability surpasses fervor. Avoid excess. 1 teaspoon suffices. Greater quantities don't equate to superior results. They merely add surplus calories. The essentials are schedule, caliber, and everyday reliability. And upon integrating that with a brief morning stroll, hydration, and 1 potent seasoning, which I'll clarify soon, you'll commence perceiving evident shifts in how your system senses, operates, and executes. Now, I noted there's one uncomplicated component that intensifies honey's influence on circulation, and it's likely positioned in your kitchen at present. Lemon. Indeed, fresh lemon extract. When you merge honey with lemon and ingest it prior to breakfast, you form what I term the circulation ignition mixture. The vitamin C from lemon aids your blood vessels in generating additional nitric oxide, as honey supplies the antioxidants safeguarding that nitric oxide from degradation. It's akin to dispatching the appropriate troops to combat and equipping them with protection. One absent the other performs far less effectively, but united, they forge something formidable. Here's the uncomplicated morning procedure I impart in my practice. Upon arising, blend 1 teaspoon of unrefined honey, the extract from half a lemon, and a pinch of cinnamon or ginger in tepid, not scalding, water. Mix thoroughly and sip it gradually, preferably inside 10 minutes of rising. That's the entirety. You require no additives, elaborate powders, or pricey elixirs. Merely this modest, reliable ceremony. And I'll disclose what transpires upon consistent application. In 7 to 10 days, your blood movement initiates advancement. In 3 to 4 weeks, your stamina and vitality commence ascending. And following 6 weeks, numerous males convey something profound. A sensation of liveliness re-emerging. I'll never overlook Robert among my enduring clients. He reached 73 upon visiting me, reserved in speech, mild-mannered, and evidently exasperated. He stated, "Doc, I've attempted all possibilities, supplements, medications, even costly web-based items, yet nothing alters sensation. We streamlined the entirety. We incorporated the honey-lemon-cinnamon fusion, refined his hydration, and implemented a few minor modifications to his evening repasts to diminish swelling. That constituted the whole. After 3 weeks, he phoned me, not for a session, but solely to express gratitude. He remarked, "I can't pinpoint what transpired, but this week, I arose sensing more vibrant than in years." Now, such transformation doesn't arise instantaneously, but it does arise once your blood movement advances, because circulation forms the base of all your system accomplishes. Motion, attention, closeness, assimilation, even repose. And nevertheless, it's the solitary element most males never target directly. Let's converse succinctly regarding the research underpinning why this succeeds so effectively. When you ingest honey and lemon in tandem, the antioxidants within honey shield nitric oxide, the essential substance maintaining blood vessels dilated, while the vitamin C in lemon assists your cells in producing further nitric oxide. Cinnamon or ginger introduces an extra tier by elevating insulin responsiveness and curtailing swelling, which preserves your arteries supple. It's a threefold impact. Lemon initiates, honey shields, cinnamon intensifies. This merger collaborates with your system, not opposing it. It's not compelling a synthetic response. It's reinstating an innate one that's decelerated with advancing years. That's the variance between authentic restoration and fleeting arousal. Now, I desire to clarify one point. Elevating circulation extends beyond merely closeness. It concerns your mind, your heart, your self-assurance, your essential vigor. As your blood movement advances, your cells receive additional oxygen, your muscles recuperate swifter, and your concentration refines. In truth, investigations demonstrate that males sustaining robust vascular condition post-60 possess up to a 40% diminished risk of mental deterioration. That signifies enhanced recall, keener responses, and firmer emotional equilibrium. Thus, yes, this transcends bedroom execution. It's about comprehensive bodily execution. I urge you to halt briefly and inquire of yourself, when did you last sense genuinely invigorated from dawn until dusk, absent dependence on coffee, sweetness, or doses? If it's been some time, don't fault the years. Fault circulation, because the years don't halt your liveliness. Subpar blood movement does, and you can invert that, commencing with an item as elementary as honey. Now, let's tackle the inquiry countless males pose to me. May I employ this should I possess diabetes or prediabetes? That's a wise inquiry, and the response hinges on your schedule and portion. When ingested in modest quantities, roughly 1 teaspoon, upon a vacant stomach, honey's innate sugars get assimilated gradually and merged with elements that genuinely elevate insulin reaction. The essential is avoiding blends with refined carbs or ingesting it tardily at evening. In truth, a compact investigation from evidence-based complementary and alternative medicine discovered that reasonable honey consumption aided in refining blood sugar equilibrium when united with routine activity and hydration. Thus, yes, it can integrate into a salubrious regimen, provided you maintain reliability and attentiveness. Now, here's an insight I've gained following 25 years collaborating with males. Most wellness practices falter not due to ineffectiveness, but because they lack prompt gratification. That's why I invariably incorporate what I term initial triumphs into my regimens. For this honey procedure, your initial triumph resides in vitality. Within the opening week, most males detect superior morning awareness. That's your reinforcement cycle. It signals your mind, hey, this succeeds, and spurs you to persist. And upon layering that practice with minor lifestyle refinements, the outcome accumulates. For instance, incorporate a concise 10-minute stroll post-breakfast. Substitute substantial suppers with lighter, protein-laden repasts. Ingest a complete glass of water prior to bedtime and upon arising. Execute those 3 elements alongside the honey fusion, and your system will commence compensating you with amplified vitality and firmer execution innately. Now, you may ponder, Dr. May, why doesn't everyone discuss this if it proves so potent? Uncomplicated. Since no merchandise exists to market, no medication, no exclusive right, no earnings in innate circulation practices. But I've witnessed them surpass pharmaceuticals repeatedly concerning sustained liveliness. That's why I established this channel to furnish males with authentic, research-supported instruments that genuinely succeed. One aspect I cherish regarding honey is its adaptability to your system. You're not imposing an synthetic response. You're prompting your system to resume optimal operation anew. Envision it as imparting your framework a gentle prod toward its innate cadence. Now, let's address an element somewhat more profound: closeness. Since I recognize this as the point where numerous males commence sensing overcome. As circulation decelerates, execution ensues, and that frequently breeds irritation, mortification, even separation in bonds. But upon initiating blood movement enhancement, it's not solely your system that alters. It's your self-assurance. You cease fretting, commence unwinding, and reforge with your companion in a manner that senses innate once more. That's why I invariably state that reinstating circulation transcends pursuing adolescence. It's about recapturing linkage. I recall one pair, I'll name them Daniel and Marie, who visited me jointly. Daniel stood at 68, and he conveyed something that tugged at my heart slightly. He stated, "I evade closeness presently because I dread letting her down." We addressed his circulation employing the identical honey-centered approach alongside a few unwinding and respiration practices. 6 weeks subsequently, Marie messaged me. "He grins more, he chuckles anew, and he no longer evades me." That's the potency of self-assurance, and it commences with an item as elementary as blood movement. Now, prior to concluding, I desire to impart a few pragmatic suggestions to render this even more effective. 1. Invariably employ unrefined honey. Shun anything designated blended or heated. 2. Ingest the honey lemon fusion ahead of breakfast, not subsequent to repasts. 3. Remain hydrated. Parchedness congeals your blood and decelerates circulation. 4. Maintain your limbs active. Even seated extensions or calf elevations aid in sustaining your blood vessels reactive. 5. Repose. Your system reinstates nitric oxide creation amid rest. Should you repose poorly, your circulation won't advance completely. These modest strides accumulate upon one another, and prior to realization, you commence perceiving alterations surpassing vitality, such as refined skin hue, keener concentration, and more steadfast endurance. And upon that occurrence, you apprehend something potent. You're not deteriorating through age. You've merely overlooked the cues your systems endeavored to convey all along. Now here's the verity most males never encounter. You don't forfeit liveliness due to years. You forfeit it because your system ceases obtaining the necessities for peak operation. And you can rectify that, not via extreme actions, but through reliable sustenance. So commence tomorrow morning. 1 teaspoon of unrefined honey, extract of half a lemon, a pinch of cinnamon or ginger, tepid water. Gradual sips. Grant it 1 week, and observe how your system senses. Because the instant you commence sensing the variance, the instant your vitality recommences, you'll apprehend something. I've observed in hundreds of males preceding you. You retain so much existence remaining to embrace, and your system desires to assist you in it. Now, prior to finalizing, I desire to depart you with 2 elements. First, should you deem this beneficial, pause momentarily to subscribe. I disseminate fresh, research-supported videos weekly, all crafted to aid males beyond 60 in reinstating liveliness, vitality, and self-assurance innately. And you won't desire to overlook the forthcoming, since in my subsequent video, I'm unveiling one commonplace, heart-beneficial nourishment that covertly diminishes testosterone and blood movement, and the method to substitute it with an item vastly superior. Believe me, you'll wish to view that one. And second, should you observe this and contemplate it's excessively tardy for me, I desire to convey something as your physician and your companion. It's not. Your system proves remarkably adept at recuperation. Irrespective of your years, it merely requires the appropriate cues, and you can commence imparting those cues today. So proceed. Grant your circulation a renewed opportunity. Commence elementary. Sustain reliability, and permit your system to prompt you what it senses like to be genuinely vibrant anew. I'm Dr. May Anderson, and gratitude for observing Vital Health Seniors. I'll encounter you in the next video, where we expose the one daily nourishment quietly depriving males of their liveliness after.